At the end of this video, we'll take a look at MadRamp's innovative pivoting ramp system, the safer, easier way to transport your ATVs and snowmobiles. Stick around. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to some of our friends. The Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Search for them on Facebook. Central Minnesota Pond Racing. Search for them on Facebook. The historic Lancaster Motel for the ultimate Eastern trail riding adventure. Crane's Snowmobile Museum at 172 Main Street in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Vintage Snowmobile Club of America Quarterly Magazine. The Bridge Street Garage Racing Team, the house racing team of the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast. The New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum at Bear Brook State Park in Allenstown, New Hampshire. And lastly, if you decide to advertise with the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast, this could be your advertising message. Good evening and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here. I have a robust lineup of vintage snowmobile entertainment on tap for you tonight. Waiting in the waiting area is our good friend Greg Dobberkey from Wisconsin. We're going to bring him on in just a minute or two. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to have a live trivia question with Rob Hilditch. We're going to have a few announcements. Then item number 4 is where we open up the lines for some show and tell. This is where you can come on with your cell phone for some live vintage snowmobile show and tell. So if you're sitting in a man cave right now and there's some vintage snowmobiles nearby, consider coming on to show them to us so that we can all enjoy. Now, before we get into all of that, I want to make sure that everything is working properly. So if you can see my face and hear my voice, I'm going to ask you to make a comment. Let me know where you're viewing this from. If you're a first-time viewer, let me know whether you're a first-time viewer or a regular viewer. Now, to our first-time viewers, I thank you so much for coming on to check us out. I hope that you enjoy this, and I hope that you decide to join us here each and every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This podcast is simulcast to 8 different places on Facebook and YouTube. So wherever you're viewing this right now, just come back here next week at 9 p.m. for another episode. Also, to our regular viewers, you guys are the ones that make this possible. You come here each and every week, week after week after week, and I thank you so much for that. You guys are the ones that make this possible. Let's take a few quick comments, then we're going to bring Greg Dobberkey on and see what he's got to show us tonight. I think you're going to be impressed. We've got Rick and Katrina Dumont saying hello. They are from Albion, Maine. Our good friend Alden Banks saying good evening. How you doing, Alden? Skip Estes from Uxbridge, Massachusetts. Our friend Michael Karvala is coming. He said he's been waiting all day for the show, and with good reason. He sent me some really nice footage over the last few days. I've edited that into a little presentation. We're going to be looking at that a little later tonight. They got a big dumping of snow where he lives in Michigan, and they were out doing some bushwhacking with their Elans and vintage ski-doos. So we've got that to look forward to later in the program. One last comment here. Doug Reinstra from Dixon, Illinois is on the house tonight. And then our good friend Rob Hilditch, he's going to be on a little later with some trivia questions. But let's not keep our guest waiting any longer. Let's bring on Greg Dobrkey from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. How you doing tonight, Greg?
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Well, my pleasure. Now, we've been in touch for a few years. You do a YouTube channel with some excellent vintage snowmobile footage, and you've always been very gracious about sharing that footage with me for my podcast and my other video projects. So I thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sure. And right now we're live at your home, I believe, and you're going to show us some twin tracks, I believe. Is that right?
Sure.
Cool. Now, before I put you full screen for some show and tell, I want to brag a little bit about your website. Your website is the authority on twin track snowmobiles. This is a screenshot of his website. I encourage you very much, if you're curious about twin track snowmobiles, just go to www.twintrackworld.com, and he's got an incredible website there. I just want to do a shameless plug for that before we get started, but I'm going to put you full screen here, Greg, and yeah, I'll hand it over to you, and you can do some show and tell us what we're looking at here.
Okay. Yeah, we got kind of stuck in here because there's a lot of them. So anyway, here is the basically the Raider that started it all. This was the 1974 Gold Double Eagle Raider that my dad purchased brand new from a local dealer back in 1974, and then had it for about 8 years, and then later got sold off. And then about 1996, it came up for sale not that long from the home, so I went and picked it up. Obviously did not look this good.
Yeah.
Had to do restoration on it some time later. And now it pretty much just go to the shows and just talk a little bit about the history. This is another one. This is the 1975 Gold Double Eagle. I know a lot of folks will confuse the two, but one's gold, one's orange is red. The louvers on the side are a little bit different. And the golden will have a 440 CCW motor, and the orange one will have a 440 Kohler motor. This one, ironically, I was at a snowmobile show in 2007, and the original owner was packing up. And he was from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And after certain persistence, he let me purchase the set, and I even have an original registration tag also he gave me with it. This one, too, had to go undergo an restoration almost right away, dropped it off, and then about a year later I picked it up, and then the gentleman got it all looking brand new for me. Then we'll step over here. Let me hide back here again. Here is a 1972 Raider Bandit. This particular version has a 292 Hearth motor. They had many different versions. This one we got over by on the other side of Marshfield, Wisconsin. A gentleman had contacted me back in 2013, and it was his grandpa's. And I went over and picked it up, and it was all in pieces. So then, too, had to have a local gentleman do the restoration because they needed like A1 bodywork done.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one. And then we got over here. This is an original 1971 Romer with the Briggs & Stratton motor. This one pretty much hasn't had anything done to it outside of getting it running. So this is about as original as it gets. I mean, original seats you can see real quickly.
Yeah.
And then it's got the twist. It's got the twist grip. And then it'll go with brake lever. That's kind of the confusion between this one and the 72. If you look at the body differences, even though at the Bandit, you won't notice, you won't see the louvers on the sides. Behind the seat, that's different. Also, the windshields are usually taller. The headlights are round versus rectangle. What else? The body's a little bit longer. Also, the tracks on the 72, you can use all the way up to the 75 model year, which, matter of fact, is the same ones that are on the Gold Double Eagle also. Same length tracks. Let me try to squeeze the phone in here a little bit for you. There you go. So yeah, that's the Raiders here. And then we'll start with the Mantas since we're on this side of the shop. Or garage, I should say.
Sure.
Okay, here is the 1976 Jack Brown Racing Manta. This one came out of Wenatchee, Washington, a few years back. And this one obviously is not the original paint. It originally was black, and then this had custom artwork done on it at one time. And then the gentleman I bought it from decided to repaint it since the paint back in the 80s lacquered. So therefore, it became red with white decals. And then they had a 750 Honda-matic motor jammed into the cockpit at one time. But that was later out, and then they changed it to a 580 Autocat. This is the sled we actually took to the Legends laps in Eagle River, Wisconsin last week, which was a lot of fun. So obviously we'll have to try doing it again next year. Also, the Browns were gracious enough to sign their helmets for me. This is what some of the artwork would have looked like on the sled at one time. And then Jack Brown was gracious enough to let me have his helmets, and he's autographed this one. And then there's also another one I'll put down here, but there's Jack's name on it. And then he also autographed the front of the helmet for me too. You can see that one. And then this Manta here came from, matter of fact, a gentleman who runs the Ontario snowmobile site. That would be Richard Greenfield. Sure. This one I found online that basically he had made some comments on it, and I contacted him in 2018. Mm-hmm. And he later decided to sell the snowmobile after having it for numerous years. So basically, when we picked it up, it didn't have the motor, and it was sitting on his workbench. We had basically put that back in, and then had to get the drive shaft reinstalled. But as far as the orange stripes and everything, that was on there. This one here, as far as the history, has been kind of, I'm not really sure. I don't have it fully. I was told this was one of the former factory racing Mantas that was repainted, because if you look closely, you can see underneath where they would originally had a wraparound windshield underneath. You can still see the hole vaguely, but on the outside, they glassed over them completely and sprayed it out. So yeah, that would be interesting to complete the history. Obviously, we put the motor back in, had a 440 Sachs. I had the endo pipes, just had to do that, and then put some snow flaps that we had reproduced on the back, because it didn't have any. Yeah. And then here's some of the little poster boards that I make up as I get some history, because this back in 2003 was at the A1 Snowmobile Swap, and Bud Bennett, believe it or not, along with Carol Brazy and a couple of the former employees, sat in the sled as it was sitting on the trailer to be sold. So that was pretty cool to get that. I do got to jump back real quick. I did forget one thing. Here is the storyboard that I used for Jack Brown's Manta. I'll go back to this really quick. This is Jack Brown and his son, Jack Brown Jr., who also raced a Mercury Twister. Definitely like to find that sled too and put them together on the shows. Here's a little bit about a storyboard, and then some of the pictures that over the course of his life. It was green at one time, and then it was black, and then here's the custom artwork with the Oli logging on it, and then as it was being primed and then painted, and then they had put a V-shaped bar on the back of it. Just for fun. I kept that, but I had a correct 1976 U-shaped bar fabricated for the roll bar and put that on instead, so it was more authentic that way. Sure. Then we're moving on here. I'll go to the, this is, as far as everybody says, the last Raider that was ever built, the 1976 American Eagle Raider. This is supposed to be the factory prototype. What made it a couple things different outside of the decals. It also had the one-off hood scoop. Yeah. And then this one here also has the wood grain dashboard. Oh yeah, nice touch. And then Then one thing about this sled is this actually, when Raider came from bankruptcy, Zimmerman's in Libertyville, Iowa, actually purchased it, and Lyle Zimmerman was his name. He actually had it sitting in his showroom. So this sled actually has 0 miles on it, and it's never been ridden. So obviously we do the same thing. It's pretty much a trailer queen that gets back and forth to the snowmobile show to keep the integrity of the 0 miles. This one also has the 440 Kohler in it also. And it also has the different decals in the back. Some of the custom. And then we've got a couple more Mantas here. Obviously the rest are off site, but we got some here for tonight's podcast. This is a 1974 Racer Manta. This one here actually spent its entire life in Wisconsin. And this is the one that was on display last year at the St. Germain Hall of Fame Museum as part of their Snow Pro exhibit. And what's ironic was about this sled is, it wasn't until it was on display that I was able to complete its history and actually meet the second owner of it, who resides in Wisconsin yet. He
was able to fill in a lot of the blanks for you.
He'd be in the 4th.
Yeah.
And then this one had a couple different motors. Originally, when it was purchased, also from the original owner, he claimed that Bob Brazy, the late Bob Brazy, gave him this sled because he used to be a race director and he was helping promote the Racer Manta. And then it got ridden a little bit over by Wabena, Wisconsin and so forth. And then it was sold off when he moved out of state. And then the second person who I got to meet at the museum, he had also a Chaparral motor in it at one time. And then it got blown up. So they put an Arctic, a Spirit motor in it. That's actually on the shelf. We still have that. But decided to make it back in racing form. So a gentleman in Minnesota had a 340 RX Free Air that came out of a speedway. And we were able to get that shipped over here. And then I had used the pipes. Matter of fact, these pipes here, I had taken off this sled and had them fabricated and copied. And thanks to that has pipes. And I've actually sold pipes to other people in the world as they needed them, snow flaps, among other parts, and had more made just so I can keep these Racer Mantas complete as we're able to get them. This is a little bit of the storyboard on it. I'll pull it back here quickly so you can read it. This just basically shows you a little bit about some of the history. This is it with the Chaparral motor in it. This is when the second owner actually tried turning it into a trail sled. It had Muse on it at one time. We got the Muse were broke. This is what it looked like when we picked it up in 2013. This was at the Oakdale Snowmobile Show. This was the day after we picked it up on the way home. Everybody liked it so much with the dust and dirt on it, the People's Choice Award it took. So that was kind of cool. And then this is just a little bit of the history of all 4 people up to myself. I'm talking about some of his history on that. So obviously we have A-frame set up, and I have some little wood bodies I make that hang the jackets up to kind of make it complete. And then this is actually the snowmobile Racer Manta that started it all. What I like to call the legendary Bojack's Racer Manta.
Yeah.
A special place in my heart on this one because it's the first. And also, I kind of get kind of emotional talking about this, but I got to meet the late Don Schluter, and he was nice enough to, we got great friends, and he was also nice enough to autograph the snowmobile for me when I went out there with the sled in October of 2012.
That's amazing.
So So this is got a 440 RX Free Air motor in it. Obviously, the body mods on it were the custom paint that Don had done prior. And then he was also a pilot. So it's kind of like the keep out. And then he later took the seatbelt out and put a roll bar, a racing style fighter harness on instead, because he said it always cut into his gut when he was sitting in it. And then he added a windshield. And then here is one of the original covers. And this cover is really ironic because here's one of the original covers that goes over because he has snaps on it. So he had one for the engine bay and one for the cockpit. He lost one on the way home from Montana in 1975, he said.
Yeah.
So we found that one. And that was kind of ironic because when we picked up this Mantha some years back, the cockpit cover was not with it. And it wasn't until 2017, 6 years later, that we got one from Bob Weaver of Bob Weaver Motorsports in Tonawanda, New York. Had one that another gentleman that had both of these at one time. Had that misplaced, put that seat that cover in that Mantha. So luckily we got that Mantha because it was nice enough to get the seat cover back, or excuse me, the cockpit cover back with the Mantha. So that helped complete some of that ensemble. Here is some of the jackets that the family graciously let me have. After Don passing. This is one of the off-team windbreakers from Bojack's Broiler Pit and Lewiston, Idaho, which is still in business. It's run by one of the owner's son now.
Oh, no kidding.
And this is the racing vest that they wore over their jacket. Basically, it's a vinyl jacket embroidered.
Yeah. And
then this is one of the storyboards that we take to the show. It basically, if you look, it's hard to see on the phone, but closely, you can see the jacket that's Don wearing, because this picture is from 1976 in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So you can slowly see the jacket. And then some other pictures. Again, these are on A-frames at the site. And then there's the former team trailer for Bojack's. That's what I'm actually looking for next. I'd love to get that in any condition. And even if you got to go get it on a flatbed trailer and haul it, we do it.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Awesome to have that sitting with the sled at the shows.
Yeah, that would complete the ensemble.
Well, what was that?
I said that would complete the ensemble.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we've got a question coming in. Stacy and Art Fosler are asking how many sleds you have in your collection.
How many sleds in your collection?
Total, we've got with the racing Manthas and the Raiders. There's two at the Norbenway Museum in Norbenway, Michigan. That's the top of the lakes. The prototype, and then the Mario Andretti Mantha. I believe there's like 17 total.
Wow, nice. Nice. That's amazing. But I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
There's actually more racing sleds than trail sleds currently. This is one of the other poster boards that goes with the Bojack's Mantha. This is actually the late Don Schluter at Bojack's. This is actually the day I met him, and also he was sitting by his side right after he graciously autographed it for me.
Yeah. And
then here was one of the original poster prints. And this is a little bit talking about it, some of the different stuff that he did. Yeah, this is kind of sad because when I went to meet him, I actually had flown out there in 2016 to attend the Hot August Days festival out there. And we went to a car show and spent some time together. And I know his health was starting to decline then. But this was actually the last time that he saw his racing Mantha in person.
Oh,
so wow. I was glad to be part of that.
Yeah.
This is also some of the other memorabilia with the Bojack. This is actually Don Schluter's original helmet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He graciously autographed the top of it for me. There's a couple of the little paint pen markers that he used.
Yeah.
This is one of the other little storyboards that I keep up with the show, because the Bojack's ensemble would never have been united with a bunch of people, because it had gotten sold off to other different people. The motor got separated because he had raced two motors. He raced a 446, and he also raced a Polaris liquid cooled. And a gentleman who was just on your podcast a couple weeks ago, his name is Jim Smith, who runs the Western Vintage Snowmobile Association site. He had the other motor, and this was the Polaris liquid cooled motor he had.
Yeah.
That he wanted to use in a clone sled of something else. And it wasn't until Don had passed away in 2017 that I had went and sent him some of the emails him talking about this motor. And he, I guess, had to change his heart and said, "Yeah, I'll send it to you." So he did.
Nice.
So this is the rest of it. We put it in the Rubbermaid container, take it to the shows. And then also, Jim Smith, who was super nice, some months later, was going through his file cabinet, and he came across Don Schluter's original Polaris owner's manual, because if you look really, really closely, you can actually see the name Schluter and Don, like, to write everything on. So this is here. This is the liquid cooled manual kit, because he basically ported both motors out. The Sachs motor's ported, and also the Polaris is ported out to go faster, obviously. So they're left as they were off the track. So yeah, that was a big thank you to them. Also, in the last couple of years, one of the other owners, his name is Steve Guston out of Lewiston, Idaho. He is the one that had the Manta after Don, and then ironically it got powdered out, and then eventually all the ensemble started to get reunited here. He was the one that took it to one of the shows in Washington and had a box of leftover parts from the Manta he sent me, and also sent me the very first Best of Show trophy that Bojack Manta ever won, and everyone showed. So that was kind of cool too, some of the history. Bojack's is still in business. This is one of their menus that I was able to get during the 2012 visit. Nice. Just obviously food. The reason their logo, this is a little bit about the history. Reason there's a devil on it is because their slogan is, "It's devilishly good." So which is kind of ironic. I took that slogan, I thought it was so cool that I went and said they're devilishly fast on the postboard, is to kind of pay tribute as to the devil logo, which is Bojack's.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's all the Manta. This here is one of the original Manta jackets. Yeah. This one actually belonged to a former Wisconsin team. I was able to meet the original owner of this jacket and spend some time with him. And he was with the former Metropolitan Marine down in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah. Had the jacket sitting in his closet all these years. I met him at the 2019 Saint Germain show. And he just let me have that. And then this is basically a little bit of a storyboard I got to make up on the jacket, like the former team members.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
3 slides. 2 of them have been found. None look like they used to do anymore. And then also, the picture in the middle is one of the former racers who now has the sled back, and he wants to turn it back into his navy blue version, although it looks black on the picture. Yeah. And then this is just a little bit of history on that, also talking about it. And then obviously with Kohler motors and stuff, whether it's a Racer Manta or a Raider, they have Kohler motors. And then this jacket that came up for sale some time ago. And we wear that to the shows also. Just share the history, keep it alive. But yeah, basically I would say it's definitely a team effort. Whether it's one person picking them up, takes many people to help reunite ensembles. I thank all the people who are helping me and all the friends I can make in the process. And get it out to the shows, because that's really for me what it's all about.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, one last thing before we finish. I know you and I have one thing in common, and that is that we like to go to vintage snowmobile shows and take video footage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one of your video clips just to give people a taste of what's available at your YouTube channel. And I'm just trying to switch screens here so I can find it. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to play that, and then we're going to come back, and we are just about out of time, so we'll say a quick goodbye once we're done with the clip. But let's roll this clip real quick, and we'll catch you on the other side.
September 16th, 2017. This is the County Line Trailblazers annual barbecue chicken and snowmobile show. Check out these sponsors. Either they're cooking all the wonderful chicken dinners. They're one of the trail groomers.
Which one do you want to vote for? I'm trying to stay out of the way of the
I threw my truck to the history that's falling around us. That's probably why you put it through. All the nuts should be brought together. What's that? All the nuts should be brought together. Did I have the song?
I'm gonna go in by the table.
Yeah, open them up then so we can see them.
Yeah, so there you have it. We've been looking at some footage by Greg Dobberkey out in Wisconsin, and when it comes to twin track snowmobiles, there's no greater enthusiast or collector than Greg Dobberkey. We thank him so much for coming on tonight to show us his twin tracks and to talk them up and talk up the history around them. We really appreciate your coming on. And one last thing before we go, I want to pop your website on the screen one more time. You can link to his YouTube channel from there. If you like that video we just saw, there's a whole lot more videos just like it at his YouTube channel. And yeah, Greg, thank you so much. It was nice to have you on. And thank you so much for doing some show and tell on your sleds. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. You had a great time tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed seeing the Mantas and the Raiders also.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. That was really great to meet Greg. I've spoken to him on the phone several times over the years. We've been in touch, sharing video footage and so forth, but it's nice to finally see him in person and have him on the podcast to do some show and tell. As you can see, he's got an absolutely impressive collection there. So let's take a few comments here before we continue. We're waiting for Rob Hilditch to come on to do the trivia question. We've got David Crawford saying hello from Columbus. We've got Mark Sperandio, I think. Great show as always. He's from Connecticut, and we're going to be referencing Mark here a little later in the program. I'll let the suspense build before we get as to why. Oh, yes. My apologies, Rob. I see the problem now. I'm going to take care of that right now. In fact, I'm going to post a link in the comment section for people to get on the podcast, because once we're finished with Rob, we're going to do some live show and tell. And if you'd like to come on with your cell phone for some show and tell, you'll be able to do that. And I've just posted the link for Rob to come on as well. And once we've done taking these comments, we're going to bring Rob on and do some do the trivia question. Alden Banks says, great looking at the twin tracks. And okay, here we go. So here, Bombard, Floyd, and Lisa is paying a nice compliment to Greg, saying they love the passion that he has for his twin trackers, and he got emotional, true love for the sport. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. And it was nice that he was able to meet the gentleman who used to race that sled and have a moment with him, had some images, some pictures taken with him, and able to document a lot of the history around that sled. Just absolutely amazing. Then our good friend Brian Robillard from Putnam, Connecticut is on tonight. Brian has the distinction of being the first person to ever come on this podcast live. And we thank him so much for that. And we got to have you on again sometime, Brian, when you're ready with some things for some show and tell. Just be in touch with me, and we'll talk about that. Also, Rick Antonio, great choice of video. Thank you, from Saskatchewan. Well, thank you as well, Rick, for being on. We really appreciate it. While we're waiting for Rob Hilditch to come on, hopefully he's able to find that that link. Here he comes. Okay, let's bring him on. Really appreciate it. While we're waiting for Rob Hilditch. Here we go. How you doing, Rob?
Good. Took me a while to
Nice
learn how to
see
do
you
this again.
Sure. Yeah, technology doesn't come easy to people our age.
So did anybody send us any pictures from last week's tribute question? Anybody got any of those machines?
No, it's funny you asked that. And let's pose that question now to our viewers. We're going to reveal the answer to the trivia question here in a moment. And if anyone has such a sled, please take some images and send it to us. We would love to see it. But before we get into all that, I'm going to put a banner on the screen. This is the gentleman we're talking to, Rob the Oil Guy, Rob Hilditch. If you need AMSOIL products, he is your man. He is an authorized AMSOIL dealer. His phone number and email address are on the screen. There's also a link in the description where you can visit his website, and he is the man that will set you up with AMSOIL products. So let's get right into the trivia question portion of the program. Last week, this was the question: which of the big U.S. automakers made a snowmobile? And we do have some winners. The answers started popping up on the screen just about immediately. People knew what it was, and I had to pick. I could only pick two. Unfortunately, we picked it out of a hat. But this is the answer. Do you want to go ahead with that, Rob, and read that?
Chrysler with the Snow Runner, and they made 28,000 of them. They made a lot of them.
They sure did.
I've actually never seen one on the trail yet. I just wondered, anybody in your crowd have ever driven one or had one out for a ride? How do they work?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know that myself, how something like that would handle. Yeah, for sure.
I know a lot of people were posting Ford, but Ford did a limited edition truck for Skidoo, but they didn't build a snow machine.
True, very true. And someone also made a comment that apparently it was Chrysler's Marine division that was in charge of manufacturing that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the winners. who are going to be receiving free Amsoil hats as a prize, Clint Bruderer and Mark Sperandino. And I don't know if you have hats handy to show people with the winning.
No, I don't.
It's all
I'm
right.
sitting at the kitchen table right now.
That's all good. That's all good. But yeah, we thank all of the people who replied with answers to that. We really appreciate the engagement. And sadly, we can only pick 2, which is a bummer. But we thank you all so much for participating and being a part of this. Now, if you're ready, Rob, I'm going to pop the new question, the new trivia question, and give you a chance to pose this question to our audience.
Yeah. Who was the first pro snowmobile oval racer to run the Amsoil logo? I know a lot of people are going to pick the Versailles, the Deckers, the Villeneuves. That's not the right answer. You got to go back further than that.
Further than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to
and
know.
next week, I'll send you a picture. Next week, we'll post a picture of the snowmobile.
Yes.
Because
that'll be great.
It is in a museum somewhere.
Nice. So it's well documented.
Yes. That was quite a collection that guy had. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know of any twin track collector that's more serious than he is, or
Does
has
he need
a larger
any friends
collection.
to come riding with him or anything?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I forgot to ask him is I was curious how those handled, how it was to drive those.
They look like they'd be fun to drive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But that's nice the way he's got the history about all the machines, helmets to match, clothing to match. Yeah. He did a lot of research on his machines. That's really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And the footage I've seen from when he brings those to shows is exactly like you said. Everything's laid out nice as far as the layout of the machines, and then the placards, with all of the details, and he's got the helmets and clothing and everything to support. He just a really nice presentation that he puts on at those shows. It's really impressive. Yeah.
Do you want to do an extra tribute this week?
An extra what?
An extra draw this week?
Sure.
Okay, here's the question. What race is on right now? It started February 19th to February 26th, and it's called the world's longest, toughest snowmobile race. What is it called, and what state is it in?
The world's longest, toughest snowmobile race.
Yeah, and it started February 19th, and it's going to end February 26th.
Wow, so it's a week long.
A lot of people's going to think the I-500, but that's only a 2-day race, isn't there? Or is it 1 day?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, this race is actually 2,645 miles long.
Wow, talk about endurance.
And it's 2 people on a team, every team.
Sure.
Yeah. So see if we can figure out, if anybody can figure out the name of the race, and we'll send you a racing shirt.
Sure. Now, as far as the first question we posed, we're starting to have some answers come in. We're not going to give it away just yet. We're going to reveal the answer next week. But it's good. We're getting some answers, and I think someone's got an answer to your second question. This audience, these guys are amazing.
Yes. I thought that'd be a tough question.
This is amazing. We've got some impressive people.
Go way up there to go snowmobiling.
Yeah, we've got some amazing people in our audience. I got to say, we've got some really committed, hardcore enthusiasts in this audience, which is wonderful to see. Very cool. And we'll answer both of those questions next week. Okay. And the answers are still coming in. This is outstanding. Okay. Very cool.
And when you send me the winners for the week last week, I need a phone number. The shipping company always needs a phone number for some reason.
Yes.
I know the last draw I put down my phone number for the people, but
sure. Well, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition into the announcements section of the program, but I'm going to ask you, Rob, if you want to stick around, because on the other side of that, we're going to open the lines up for some live show and tell for anyone who'd like to come on with their cell phone. And for anyone who's thinking about that, if you're sitting in your man cave right now, or a garage or a barn, and you've got some sleds in front of you you'd like to show us, everyone here would love to see them, and you can come on with your cell phone. It's very easy. All you have to do is click on the link in the description. In fact, I'm going to post that again just so it's near the top, because we've had a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to post that again so it's handy. But here are the guidelines if you're thinking about coming on for some show and tell. It must be something vintage snowmobile related. We ask you to hold your camera horizontal for a wide shot. Keep it clean, no nudity, profanity, etc. It's okay if something is for sale, but it must be vintage snowmobile related. And last but not least, please keep it positive, no bashing of people, businesses, etc. So we are on item number 3. We're going to get into some announcements. I'm going to go through them real quick because we've got quite a few new things that have come in. But we've got the Central Minnesota Pond Racing schedule. They've got two more events on their schedule this year. And I've got some footage I'm trying to get together from the February 19th event, which I'm going to try to air on all of the 8 places where this simulcasts. I wanted to air it as soon as Saturday, but I'm having a little difficult, a technical problem. So it may be Sunday, or if I can't resolve the technical issue, it could be later than that. But I just want you to know that I'm working on bringing you some footage from that February 19th Gray Eagle, Minnesota event. And as soon as I'm able to, I'm going to air that on the podcast. Now, we've got the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Their next induction ceremony is Saturday, September the 10th. And in Lancaster, New Hampshire, at Crane's Snowmobile Museum. The ceremony starts at 1:30 p.m., but we ask you to arrive at 1 because you're bringing your own lawn chairs. That gives you time to stake out a spot with your lawn chair and then go into the museum, look around. There's over 100 sleds in there. It's just a wonderful event. Also, thank you so much to all of our friends who have been ordering T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, magnets, phone cases with their favorite snowmobile logos on them. We really appreciate everyone who's been ordering that. Whenever someone, pardon me, got a tickle in my throat tonight. Whenever someone orders one of these items, I get a small commission, and that goes toward helping to offset the expenses of doing this podcast. There's a link in the description. If you're thinking about doing that, just click the link, and you can see a whole host of logos and images there to choose from to have printed on a T-shirt, hoodie, mug, sticker, phone case, magnet, whatever you like. Likewise, thank you to all of our friends who've been ordering the DVD set. If you enjoyed last season's podcast as much as I did with all of the interviews and the people we brought on live, this is the DVD set for you. Each and every one of those live interviews is on this 2 DVD set. There's almost 4 hours of vintage snowmobile entertainment on these 2 DVDs. And if you order within the next few days, I'll include a 3rd bonus DVD that has almost 3 hours of entertainment on it as well. So that's close to 7 hours of vintage snowmobile entertainment for only $24.95, including the shipping. And that goes directly toward helping to offset the costs of this podcast. And I thank you in advance for if you decide to do that. And thank you so much to the people who've been ordering them. Really appreciate it. It helps to offset the costs. Now we've got a Vintage Snowmobile ride coming up in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, March the 12th. That is coming up. That's just 2 or 3 weeks away. That's going to be an incredible event. Hope that you'll decide to participate in that. And if it's too far, to trailer sleds, rental sleds are available if you want to drive in or fly in or something. There are still options for you. Also, thank you to Josh Leverker for making me aware of this event that's going to be happening on March 19th in Constableville, New York. That's a great show. Whiskey Jack's Bar and Grill show and swap meet, Saturday, March the 19th. Also, what have we got here? Okay, so here are some images that people have been sending to me. Here's an image from Donnie McManus. This is his 1975 Ski-Doo TNT Free Air. He's also sent a video to me, which I'm going to show you next week. We got to pace ourselves a little bit. But in the meantime, here's another shot of that very sled. It's an excellent example of a 75 TNT Free Air. Also, Doug Carlson has been in touch with me with some images of his cat collection. I've created a little montage there of some of those sleds for you to enjoy. And last but not least, in the announcement section of this program, we've got this really interesting sled sent to us by John Spranger Jr. I'll read you the details. On February 19th, this past weekend, his twin brother Jim and himself, they were at the 38th annual Ride with the Champs vintage and late model ride groups. The pit stop at the St. Germain, Wisconsin Hall of Fame was where they saw this Silver Bullet a Kegerator 340. This is built on a Ski-Doo Alpine chassis, has a steering wheel, truck mirrors, exhaust comes out the back with big pipes. There's a beer tap on the back and, of course, red Solo cups up on the roof. He thought I might like this. Feel free to use it on the podcast. He said also he forgot to add that this was the thirst station in front of the Silver Bullet. Not sure how many miles to a gallon of beer, but I'm sure it's a good time no matter how you slice it. Very cool. Now, Rob, have you ever seen anything like that at
No,
the events you go
no.
to?
No.
That would be
Hey,
something to see, wouldn't it?
that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Now we've got some comments coming in, and we are officially in the live show and tell portion of the program. So if you'd like to come on, here we go. Look at that.
There's
So
the
these are
hats we're
some of the
giving
hats
away.
that people win.
Yeah.
Outstanding. So if you'd
And
like to
last
come
week
on,
we did have some people send us email, and we sent them some decals.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, one
So you're
guy
getting
had
some
3
response from
machines,
this.
so he wanted 6, so we sent him all 6.
Wonderful. So you're getting some good response from doing this.
Yes.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So Alden Banks was saying no Yamaha logos. That may be the case. If you click the link, though, there's a lot more logos available. I don't recall if there's Yamaha or not. I tend to think you might be right, and I apologize for that. But I'm not the one that does those shirts and mugs and so forth, so I don't really control which logos are there. But that's a good observation. And I'm not sure what these comments are, but I thank you for making them. But as I said, we are officially in the live show and tell portion of the podcast. So if you'd like to come on with your cell phone right now to show us some sleds or memorabilia, trophies, come on with some stories, just click the link in the description. It says streamyard.com. Click that link, and in just a few moments, you can be on here for some show and tell to show us some of your sleds. If you're a regular viewer of this podcast, you've seen us bring people on in the past. We'd love for you to be next to share with us. And while we're waiting for that, we're going to look at some more videos. In fact, let me get to the right screen here. I'm kind of going all over the place. So we're going to skip ahead while we're waiting for someone to come on for live show and tell. We've got some footage from Michael Karvala. He and his friends are riding vintage sleds over the weekend in Ishpeming, Michigan. They just got a huge dump of snow over there, and they were riding in some elands and vintage ski-doos, having a great time. We're going to take a look at that footage. And while we're waiting, if someone wants to come on live with their cell phone, it'll take you into a waiting area. When you click on the link, you'll be able to watch the video with us. And once the video is over, we'll bring you on so you can do some show and tell with us. But let's take a look at this footage from Michael Karvala. you go. What do you think of that, Rob? Does that bring back memories of bushwhacking?
Oh, when I was 14 years old, I had a 12.3 and my dad had an 18 horse, and he had a hunting camp that was 7 miles in the woods.
Yeah.
All the kids had to walk 50 feet, come back, get the snowmobile, move 50 feet. All the kids had to pack the trail down for the parents.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was snow like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good 18 inches or so right there, I think.
Oh, I wouldn't want to do that nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be able to pull on those sleds like I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That looks like a lot of fun, though. And I remember those old Elans and Ski-Doos. Those would go just about anywhere.
Oh, they were so nice and light. I got stuck on the slush on the weekend, and my machine was so heavy.
Oh, yeah, once the suspension loads up with that stuff. Yeah. Now, we've got some comments coming in. Greg Bradley asking, I think he's talking about a Ski Cat. Yes, made in Detroit. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that sled, but if anyone has images of those or video, we would love if you could share it with us. Are you familiar with the Ski Cat?
No, I'm not. But I got a question to ask you.
Yeah,
That's Vintage Snowmobile you were talking about, event.
Yeah.
If we fly there, they got vintage snowmobiles to rent?
They do. There's a local dealer in town. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm glad you. Yes, let me clarify that. They're modern sleds.
Oh, I thought I could rent a vintage.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked me on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they'd be modern sleds. I'm glad you asked me to clarify that because I don't want people to thinking that there are vintage sleds available for rent.
Yeah. Maybe
For
a
sure.
Repster or something.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be cool. Somebody could make some money doing that. I'm sure you could charge a premium for a vintage sled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, actually, I've got a question for you too about vintage sleds. For the older two strokes, what Amsoil product would you say is best for like a 50-to-1 mix or however they're doing that?
In 1972, Amsoil came out with a 2-cycle oil that was 100-to-1 ratio. And when I raced the 79 Yamaha SRX 440, it was a 15-to-1 oil mixture. And Tim Bender talked me into running at 100-to-1. Before the season was out, we were running 200-to-1, and we still had more protection than what petroleum was at 50-to-1. So really? I recommend to people to use the Amsoil 100-to-1. Now, Amsoil does have a Dominator racing oil, but if you're not running wide open, it will fall a plug.
Gotcha.
But the 100-to-1 is perfect.
Gotcha. So anyone who's used to using conventional oil at 50-to-1, the 100-to-1 with the Amsoil will be.
And it was perfect for me at my cottage because I had the 200 Black Max, I had the 115 Merc, I had a 99 Evinrude, I had the Weed Whacker, I had the Lawn Boy lawnmower because it's a hill, and everything run at 100-to-1. So every oil mixture was the same with Amsoil.
Nice.
And most of that equipment I still have, and it still runs.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you also have Amsoil products for when people are going to store their machines. Do you have like a fogging oil or things to spray in the suspension or on the clutch or things like that?
Yeah, and gas stabilizer. Gas stabilizer is so important. Yeah, and I tell everybody, don't store your machine with regular gas. Buy super, even though it's high dollars right now. You don't want the ethanol in there while it's sitting.
Oh yeah. No ethanol.
And another trick: if you go to a pump and you push the button for super, I have a kid that races go-karts. He has autism, and I help him out. He blew his motor up. So we went back to the engine builder. Look at the engine. The guy says he's running regular. I said, no, he put super. We went and did it again. He blew it up again. So I went with the kid. 1 gallon gas can. He went to the pump, put 11 liters into the gas can, 2.5 gallon, 11 liters in it. We tested, had ethanol in it. We went in, complained to the dealership. They said, well, we're the people before you buy. I said, what are you talking about? There's 11 liters in the line. So
in the hose.
The person before you bought. So put some in your car first, then fill your tank up for your snowblower, lawnmower, chainsaws, or whatever.
That's good to know. That could be catastrophic.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a good 8-10 feet of hose there, all hanging at the pump. Containing
almost 2 gallons of fuel in it sometimes.
Wow. So whatever the other guy.
If you look at the pump, you can tell how much the guy paid for the last one. You said, "Oh, he bought super." So.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so that's a tell. Yeah.
Yes.
Now Skip Estes says that he runs Amsoil Dominator with 110 octane Sunoco in his 72 EXT and his 70 Puma EXT.
Yeah, well, he's running racing fuel.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, that's a nice thing too. You know, if people have questions about fuel or lubricants or anything to do with vintage sleds, Rob here is your guy to call. I'm going to pop a graphic on the screen.
Even new sleds.
Yes, especially new sleds. Yeah.
Yeah. Amso's the only company out. If you bought a brand new snowmobile, like Bombardier gives you a 1-year warranty, Amso's going to give you a 2-year warranty if you buy Amso.
Nice. And this is how to reach Rob here on the screen. His phone number and email address are there. There's also a link in the description to his website, and also these same sort of products are applied to lawn and garden machines, motorcycles, jet skis, marine products, cars, trucks, boats,
Diesel, hydraulics.
RVs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rob's got something for you, whatever it is that you're running, because most of us who are into snowmobiles are also into other motorized vehicles.
Yep. We even got the free decals we'll send you out to if you want to put some decals on your.
Nice. I'll put you full screen.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So if you want some of those, let me put that contact information back on the screen. If you want some of those decals, just give him a call or an email or click the link in the description for his website. Outstanding. So it doesn't look like we're going to get any takers on the live show and tell tonight, which is okay. We'll just have to do it another time, but I've got one more video I want to play for us. This is some video. We're at item number 6 right now. Our good friend Dirk Siems was at a recent Vintage Snowmobile show in Elk River, Minnesota, and he sent me a whole lot of footage. And I have to say that I'm very pleased that people are sending me footage now. I love sharing my own footage, but I love even more to see what other people are doing, especially different parts of the country. And I'm just starting to get a lot of images and footage and things from people. And it's just wonderful. I love seeing it. And if people are going to a Vintage Snowmobile show, please take some footage and we will share it for all to enjoy. The reason I'm holding this camera up like this or this phone like this is if you're taking footage, hold your camera horizontal for a wide shot, not vertical like this. I know it feels natural in a hand like this to do video, but when it comes time to edit, it's very difficult. I can work with it creatively, but it's always better if you can hold your camera horizontal like that for a wide shot. And yeah, please share any kind of footage at vintage shows, races, events. We would love to share it on the program here for everyone to enjoy. But let me queue up that video from Dirk. Just take a second to pull it up here.
Another quick video here this morning before things get crowded. This is the swap meet area here. As far as the eye can see, it's like about four or five, maybe 6 lines down here. Kind of zoomed in, so it's a little shaky here. Gotta make sure I don't get run over. I'll take some still shots too of some of the more interesting swapping areas. Here you can get your Klotz fuel on sale today. But I got here, like I say, just wanted to take a picture. It's easier to see the amount of swappers here before it gets crowded. So I'm going to jump out of here for now, and again, Elk River, Minnesota, at the swap meet early in the morning. So these 2 sleds, John Deere 400s, they just arrived today here at Elk River, Minnesota, and they recreated the ride that gentleman's dad did over there, him and his dad. And I'm not sure how old his dad is. I think he's over 70. And they just basically reran the route for the I-500 here that was real popular back in the 70s. And they went through these sleds. I happened to catch it on the news the other night, a local news channel. So I stopped over here and visited with them just for a minute and found out that they just got here today. They just drove 500 miles from up in Canada all the way down to this event. Not just to come to this event, but to recreate his dad's, and I guess it must be his son's sled here, and to recreate the trip that his dad had done before. And I guess they had one mishap, one little bump into a tree that resulted in some stitches, but it's pretty impressive that the snowmobiles basically made it here today and left Canada a few days ago. I forgot to ask him how many days it took, but 500 miles, so that's pretty neat. underway here at Elk River. Vintage trail ride. We start out on the track here, race the track, and then over there at the finish line, that's where the trail ride starts. So all the sleds you see back behind me here, coming by and over here, we're all lining up for the start of the ride. And there's a lot of guys that aren't even on the track here yet. You can look over beyond the fence, see a line of snowmobiles. They'll be joining in too. So several miles of snowmobiles here. We'll see how many are sitting here when it clears out. Hopefully we're not. We're going to start up our Colts here. Here and at our Colts, we're going to head out. Colt 250s. Hopefully they'll make the ride. Quite a variety of sleds here. Everybody's slowly moving towards the start line. So I'm going to jump out of here for right now. I'll probably stop along the trail, see if I can take a couple of other short videos here. So anyway, Elk River, Minnesota, 2022.
I turned my mic off for a second. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for catching that. Yeah, how about the turnout at that show? Isn't that impressive?
That was a lot of sleds there. Holy smokes.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So I want to do a few quick things before we close out. I've got to say, this image comes from Jeff Thomas. He was watching. He tried to post it in the comments. It wouldn't let him, so he sent it to me as an email. While that video was rolling, I downloaded it and put it here so that we can all enjoy. I think this is his. Let me check the comments and see. I think he made a comment over here too. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Now, Jeff is also saying that Coors Light sled we were looking at earlier was built by the Livingstons. And I don't see, well, let me see where else he, yeah, that's his personal snow runner. I thought that was the case. I needed to go back to his email.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then Sam Ferringer says send some of that snow to Pennsylvania. We could use some here in Vermont too. We've got some snow coming though, I think tomorrow. Now this comment we've looked at. Now Doug Carlson says he runs AMSOIL in everything he owns. Dominator in his drag cars, Interceptor in his sleds. It's great stuff. And I have to agree. AMSOIL is top of the line product for sure. And then Michael Karvala says, thank you for sharing his videos. Shout out to his friends Joe and Eric, who were with him riding the other day. And then Alden Banks says, another great show. Thank you for that compliment. We appreciate it. We appreciate you being a regular viewer. And then Dirk Siems, whose video we just looked at, said, I later found out his dad was only a fan of the I-500 race in his younger days, but finally got to run the route this year. Cool.
Wow.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, cool. Well, this is all the time we've got for tonight, but thank you so much, Rob, for coming on. And our
Great show, Mike.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for Greg Dobrucki for coming on earlier and all of the footage we've been getting from people and comments and engagement. It's just this podcast is taking on a life of its own. And I couldn't ask for better. I really appreciate it from everybody that's involved with this. And
I'm
my
off
goal,
to Vintage Race this weekend, so maybe I'll get some footage for you.
Please do.
Off on Monday.
Please do. We would love to see that. And then to the winners of these trivia questions that we're doing, once you've received your hat, take a selfie of yourself and share it with us, and we'll pop it on the screen in a future episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, thank you, everyone. We'll catch you on the other side. And as always, the last word goes to our friends at Mab Ramps.
It's the ultimate combination of simplicity and ingenuity. The newest way to load, unload, and transport your ATV or UTV. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Made in the USA and engineered for strength and durability. Maneuver through tight places and over rugged terrain with plenty of ground clearance. No licensing, no ongoing maintenance costs, and no storage hassles like trailers. Won't slip or move like conventional ramps. Free up more cargo space in the bed of your truck. Securely connects to your truck's receiver hitch. Easily extends for safe loading and unloading. Seamlessly retracts for highway and off-road travel. DOT approved in all 50 states and Canada. Quickly disconnects in under a minute. A unique space-saving storage system. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Go farther. Go faster. Go safer.
When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs. When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs.
For ours.